Hello children and welcome to today's class. In the last class we had finished with the whole summary of the last lesson by Alfonso Daudet, and we had also discussed about the author, about Franco-Prussian War, about linguistic chauvinism, and today we are going to discuss about the themes that come up when we talk about this chapter and why is it relevant to read this chapter even in today's era, and about the characters of Franz and Mr. Hamel, two very important characters in this story. So let's first start with the character of Franz. Little Franz was a student of a school in Alsace. M. Hamel was his schoolmaster. Franz was not a brilliant student. He didn't prepare his lesson on participles. So children, as I told you the last time as well, that Franz was not particularly a very bright child. He liked to waste his time, he liked to go sliding on the river Saar, and he liked to just pick the birds in the nest and waste his time instead of studying. So he found leisure activities more interesting compared to studies. So that very day he had not prepared his lesson on participles. So this tells us that Franz was rather a lazy child rather than a very hard-working child. When he was asked to recite, he got mixed up and confused. He was always in dread of the great ruler that M. Hamel kept under his arm. So how do we know about this particular thing, that Franz was always scared of his teacher? That's because when he enters the class, he says these lines that he could see Mr. Hamel going up and down the class with the dreadful ruler kept under his arm, which shows us that this child was very scared of the teacher and his punishments. Franz knew how cranky M. Hamel was. However, Franz had to change his opinion about M. Hamel. An order had come from Berlin. German language was imposed on the people in Alsace. So the moment he heard about the teacher being transferred and that no language will be taught in their school, immediately his opinion about his teacher changes. This tells us about the golden heart of this little boy. Even though his teacher punished him so many times, even though he felt that his teacher was very harsh and strict on him, still he had the love beneath all of that. He had the love somewhere in his heart for his teacher, and he felt extremely upset when he got to know that the teacher will not be teaching them again. This shows us that he was a very good-natured child. So, when he came to know that it was the last lesson of M. Hamel, his views about him changed. He began to respect him. He had spent 40 years in the same school. He felt sorry that he had neglected learning French. He shared M. Hamel's views about French. So, when M. Hamel shared his views about French, that it is the most beautiful language in the world, Franz agreed to it, and Franz felt like he also feels the same, the love towards his language. He listened to M. Hamel's last lesson with rapt attention and respect. Somewhere Franz also had guilt within himself that he had wasted away his entire time, he had whiled away his entire time instead of paying attention to his studies. And somewhere he felt guilty that he had taken his lessons very lightly, and when he had enough time, when he had ample opportunities and time, he had not taken an advantage of it. Rather, he had wasted all his time away. So this shows us about the nature of Franz and how reflective he was about his own actions. So he reflected on his actions and he felt sorry about it. Coming to the next character, which is again the most important character of this entire story, the whole story revolves around him, which is M. Hamel. Children, I must have told you before that in French, M is a title which stands for respect, like how Mr. does in English. So it is not actually pronounced as M. Hamel anymore. We will read it as Mr. Hamel only. He is presented in the mold of a traditional schoolmaster. So, like the contemporary schoolmasters of his age, Mr. Hamel also was a very strict teacher. Because remember, this story is written at the time when school teachers were supposed to be extremely strict with their students, and leniency was not supposed to be encouraged. He always kept his terrible ruler under his arm Mr. Hamel was a hard taskmaster. We see the other side of Mr. Hamel's character after the order from Berlin came. He was a transformed person now. If you remember in the story when I was explaining it to you, there was one particular line that suddenly the children were feeling that Mr. Hamel, it felt like he was a better teacher on the very last lesson. It felt like he was teaching with the dedicated passion that he also had never shown before. So on the last day he was himself a transformed teacher. He became extra soft and gentle towards his students. So when Franz walked in late to his classroom, he did not hit Franz with his ruler. He did not even punish him. Even when Franz could not tell the rule of participles correctly, Mr. Hamel did not scold him that very day. So this shows us that he also felt somewhere that he had been a very strict teacher, and probably he also needed to be a little soft towards his students. Maybe they missed out on so much of love because he was so strict with them throughout. So on the last day he became extra soft and gentle. He didn't scold Franz for coming late, nor did he use his ruler when Franz got mixed up and confused. He declared that it was his last lesson in French. Mr. Hamel was highly respected both by his students and the village teachers. How do you know, children, that Mr. Hamel was a respected person in his village? Everyone in the village respected him. The proof of it lies in the fact that everybody, including the postmaster, to many old people in there who had taken class in their days, maybe 30 years back, some maybe 20 years back, and maybe they all had sat in Mr. Hamel's class sometime in their lives. They all had come to pay their respects to the teacher who had given his service for 40 years to their village. So all the elderly people, they had come and they had sat on the back benches and they took the last lesson from the teacher. So this shows us that he was a very highly respected person. Mr. Hamel loved France and French from the core of his heart. He considered French as the most beautiful language in the world. Now this tells us that he was a proud French. Also, he was a patriotic person. The patriotism in him was something that he was very proud of. He asked the people to guard it among themselves and never to forget it. That was something that he preached on his very last lesson. He told the people that they must always safeguard this language amongst themselves and uphold it, because this is the key to their prison. Now we will talk about the theme of this chapter. So the very first theme, that it is related to the culture and the language. So it poses a question that is our language and our culture important to us? So throughout the story we see how important does the culture, what importance it holds in our life. The hegemony of the imperial and colonial power. So what happens when a imperial power decides to corrupt us by trying to change our education system? Lust for ruling the world influencing culture and identities. So this is also one underlying theme of the chapter, that some people have the greed to rule over the world, and when those people enter the hierarchy of governance, they try to manifest it in such a way that they try to rule over other countries. They try to snatch their culture from those people and snatch and take away their language and traditions from them, and try to spread their own culture, suppress those people and try to impose their own traditions on them. Pathos of the likely language crisis. This is basically about what happens when a person faces language crisis, when that person knows that they will not be able to speak in their own native language anymore, when their language of the heart is not valued. Language an asset, more so in times of crisis. This is one more very important theme, that whenever we are in a time of crisis, what helps us the most? What is one asset which really helps us? That asset is language. Now how language is our asset? Because we convey ourselves through words. Those words become slogans in a time of crisis. Those words become our posters. Those words become our speeches. All the grand speeches that we give, all the enthusiasm that we have in whenever we are revolutionizing something, whenever we are trying to express our disgust at something, dismay at something, we use language. So this is something which is mostly used in times of a crisis. Every revolution is based on a particular language. Many a times the ruling class does not even understand the language which the oppressed people are using against them, and that is the entire purpose. Fear, shame and agony of losing freedom of learning and using mother tongue. So you all have the freedom to use your mother tongue and to learn your mother tongue. When that freedom is snatched from you, you feel a certain fear, you feel a certain pain, which means agony, and you feel shame, a shame that you did not learn your own language. Another theme that comes is man's envy of the free world of nature. So nature is free. Remember in the dialogue, Franz thinks, are they going to teach the pigeons also how to coo? Because their language will not change. So whereas man can be dictated, the free world of nature cannot be dictated. Their language cannot be taken away from them. Whereas men do not have that advantage. Their language can always be snatched from them. So this talks about also the bondages in the human world. How many bondages are there? All the freedom, all the rights that we have, they are not permanent. They are always transient. Any moment they can be taken away from you. When a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. This line I have explained in detail the last time, and again I am explaining that when a person, when a country, when a state, when a culture, when a tradition, when a community is enslaved, when they are oppressed, when they are ruled over by certain other forces, the only way through which they can unite together and lead a revolt is their own mother tongue. They have to keep their mother tongue as a secret and hold fast to it and make sure that the next generations learn it, because till the time they will keep speaking in their mother tongue, their patriotism will be alive in them. It is as if they will have the words to express their pain, and they will have the key to their own prison, which means that they will be definitely successful in the rebellion against the oppressors, and they will be able to come out and attain freedom. Language links culture and society, which in turn unite people and eventually liberate them from political subordination. So language here is called as a link. It is a chain which connects the culture and society which follows that culture, and because of that language people are united. When you speak a language which I know, I feel connected to you. It unites us and it liberates us both from political subordination. It makes us free from someone else's subordination. So some critical lines which have been used in this chapter are, will they make them sing in German too, even the pigeons? This is a line you thoroughly need to revise and learn and understand the meaning of this line. This points to the limits ambitions of the rulers can reach. So everything has a limit. Even if you want to control others, to how much extent can you really control others? So you might say that I will control this person's language, but can you control the nature's language? Can you change the way a dog barks, and can you make the dog instead say meow, or can you make the dogs cow like a crow? No. So there are limits to everything. The rulers might have ambitions that we will make these people our slaves, we will make them do this or that, but they cannot rule over the nature entirely. It also shows the fears and the apprehensions of the ruled people. The people who are ruled, they feel fearful that everything around us is changing so quick. Agony and helplessness of subjugation. Subjugation means being forced to live under somebody else's thumb rule. Belief that choice of language is one's own prerogative, free from all political or social bondage. This line also shows the belief that we are supposed to choose our own language because it is our right. It has to be free from any kind of political or social bondage. And finally, before we end today's class, I would like to end it with this quote by Nelson Mandela, which says, "If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart." So with this, let's finish with this. And your homework is being uploaded on the school website. Please go through the assignment and please complete and mail the assignments to me at the email ID which is mentioned in the assignment. Thank you so much for your time.